What's up, guys? Mike here, and today we are talking about Joel Embiid. More specifically, 3 reasons why I think Joel Embiid has a chance to break the NBA. Because if you've watched him play this season, the man has just been incredible. Yeah, I'm gonna go with incredible. I mean, sure, he's definitely going through some growing pains, but there are times when it just seems like there is no one on the planet who can stop him. So with that said, I've done some research and I came up with 3 reasons why I think Joel Embiid will just break NBA game plans. So I hope you enjoy. Number 1. Newfound maturity. When the Philadelphia 76ers drafted Joel Embiid with the 3rd pick in the 2014 NBA draft, they believed they were getting an eventual basketball legend. What they got instead was a social media legend. Yes, Joel was certainly active on Twitter, creating headlines with antics such as asking Rihanna on a date and trying to recruit LeBron to play in Philly. And off Twitter, he made even more headlines, declaring that he had once killed a lion and letting it be known that he drinks pitchers of Shirley Temples a day and eats a ridiculous amount of chicken fingers. And while fans of the NBA were certainly happy to see a new hilarious personality emerge, there was one group of people that were not happy with Embiid: the Philadelphia 76ers. Like I said, the Sixers drafted Embiid with the hope that he would one day become a basketball legend, not a social media legend. And for the first 2 years, things certainly looked down. First, Embiid missed the entire 2015 season due to a broken foot, but this was almost expected as he had some serious injury concerns at the time of the 2014 draft. What was not expected was that in the summer of 2015, it was determined that his foot had not healed properly and he would need even more surgery. And here's where Embiid's maturity was really called into question, because as it was announced that he would miss another entire season of basketball, whispers started to get out. These rumors were centered around Joel's dedication to rehab. Some stated that he had not taken rehab seriously, while others said that he had began to put too much pressure on his foot when he was first out of his cast, which was a serious concern. Concerns that were completely justified at the time, because throughout his first year, those that were close to the team described Embiid as moody, withdrawn, and quiet. Some felt that he didn't want to be there, that he wasn't taking his new job seriously. They worried that he just didn't love basketball enough, but those people were wrong. If anything, Joel Embiid's moodiness in his first season can be chalked up to that he just loved too much. He loved his family, who was in Cameroon while he was alone in Philly. And he loved basketball, the sport that had become his passion only to be taken away from him through injury. And the problem was, he was just too close to the game that he loved but couldn't play. The Sixers believed that it was good for Joel to be around the team throughout the 2015 season. They soon realized that that was a mistake. Being around a team that he couldn't compete for was killing him. And so the Sixers sent Embiid to an elite training facility in Qatar. And away from the cameras, away from the spotlight, Embiid went to work. He worked to return to basketball, worked to play in his first NBA game, and most importantly, worked to become great. We've all seen those videos, the impressive workouts that Joel had against a seemingly tiny white guy. But what you didn't hear is that this tiny white guy is in fact NBA skills coach Drew Hanlon, a man who Joel seeked out on his own because he liked the work Hanlon had done on Andrew Wiggins' postgame. When Embiid approached him, Hanlon said sorry, he couldn't help him. He had to be back in LA the next day. Joel smiled and said, "Perfect, I'll see you there." Because here's the thing, here's what you should take out of the 2 seasons that Joel Embiid missed with injury. When he was drafted, he was just a 20-year-old kid who loved basketball. And then for the next 2 years, basketball was taken away from him. But once he got it back, once he could play again, he went to work. Number 2, current skills. And so despite his newfound attitude, despite the workouts we saw during the offseason, we really didn't know what to expect from Joel Embiid this season. Would all that work translate into real NBA games? Would he be a Rookie of the Year candidate? Or would he not even be able to stay on the court? Well, so far, after 7 games, it seems like Joel Embiid has managed to surpass everyone's wildest expectations. We saw it in the very first game of the season. In his first game matched up against Steven Adams, a man who had made a huge name for himself in the 2016 playoffs, Embiid looked dominant. With 8 minutes left in the first, he faked a 3, put the ball on the ground, and hit a turnaround jumper to score his first points as an NBA player. The move itself was that of an NBA veteran. The ability to put the ball on the floor and score with that type of touch as a rookie was certainly surprising. But the surprises didn't stop there. With a little over 7 minutes left in the second, Embiid found himself open for a 3-pointer and let it fly. The ball swish through the net, a swish that told the NBA that this 7'2" giant already had range. And as if that wasn't enough, Joel continued to go to work in the fourth quarter, demonstrating a knack for drawing fouls and knocking down jumpers. When it was all said and done, the Sixers did lose, but Embiid ended with 20 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocks in just 22 minutes in his first ever game as a pro against one of the best defensive centers in the league. And in his first win as a pro, Embiid was somehow even more impressive. Despite his inexperience, he proved that he's already a go-to player down the stretch of games, scoring 16 points in the fourth quarter and overtime to give Philadelphia their first win of the 2017 season. And so we can all agree that throughout his short NBA career, Joel Embiid has certainly been impressive. But what you might not realize is that Embiid has not only been impressive, he has been historically dominant. Because remember, Embiid is currently on a minutes restriction due to his return from injury. Through 6 games, he's averaging 22.2 minutes, 18.8 points, 6.8 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks a night. Nice numbers, right? But to put this into a more historical perspective, let's take a look at Embiid's per 100 possession numbers. These numbers nullify pace and show just how much a player would produce in 100 possessions of a basketball game. Throughout 6 games, Embiid's per 100 possession numbers are 41.7 points, 15.1 rebounds, and 5.2 blocks. And according to basketballreference.com, there is only one player in NBA history to put up these type of numbers. That man is, of course, Joel Embiid. And if we take away the category of blocks and lower the requirements to 40 points per 100 possessions and 13 rebounds, we only get 2 other players who ever finished a season with these type of numbers. These men are Shaquille O'Neal and Karl Malone. And so, as a 22-year-old rookie, Joel Embiid has began his career putting up per 100 stats that are only approached by 2 of the greatest big men of all time. And so at this point in the video, I know what you're thinking. You're saying, Mike, don't get ahead of yourself. Those numbers are definitely impressive, but Embiid is still young. He's only played in a few NBA games and he still needs to prove himself for a full year. And I agree with those statements, but here's the thing. I'm riding this Joel Embiid hype train because I think his current numbers are indicative of a future incredible career. Because really, at the end of the day, it's not what he's doing now, but what really matters is Joel Embiid's amazing potential. And number 3, tremendous potential. In the past few years, we have heard the same thing over and over again. The center position is dead, and successful NBA teams are now going to be built upon 3-point shooting and ball movement. But what people quickly forget is just how fast basketball trends occur. Decades ago, NBA powerhouses were built upon the shoulders of NBA big men. Then came iso ball, then came the rise of the 3-pointer. But soon, I believe we'll see a new rise of dominant NBA centers yet again. Because in this modern NBA, a new trend in big men has already emerged. Players like Anthony Davis, Karl Anthony Towns, and DeMarcus Cousins can do more than just bang in the post and rebound. They can step out, knock down shots, and put the ball on the ground and defend multiple positions. And while all of these players I just named have already proven to be all-star type talents at least, perhaps the big man with the most potential to break current NBA trends is Joel Embiid. Because for starters, Joel Embiid is a massive physical specimen. Standing at close to 7'3", Embiid towers over other NBA centers. On top of this, the man is already jacked. At 22, Embiid has the look of an NBA veteran, but he's just a rookie. And he has all of the tools to get tremendously better. Right now, Embiid is still adjusting to the fast-paced style and incredible athleticism that is demonstrated in NBA basketball games. Every game presents new challenges. Every matchup provides him with a new chance to learn. And to be clear, Embiid is a student of the game. Like I've said, Joel loves the game of basketball, but unlike most players, his love of the game goes beyond just playing. According to Lee Jenkins, a reporter who spent weeks profiling Embiid for the upcoming season, Joel is a guy who will break down the draft for you, will break down other teams. He talks almost the way a guy who is a scout or wants to be a GM would talk. Jenkins states that Joel does not have the brain of a typical NBA big who grew up overseas. Instead, he compares Joel's mind to that of an NBA-born point guard who somehow sees the game in a way that most players cannot. This is very important, and it explains a lot. Already, Embiid has surprised people with his 3-point range this season, but his ability makes sense because Joel has the ability to objectively look at the way basketball is played today. He knows how important court spacing is, so he entered his first NBA game already with the ability to stretch the court, which of course is just one of the skills he has already demonstrated. On top of his shooting, he has already proven that he can use his awesome size and strength to score around the basket, to draw fouls like an NBA vet, and to block shots and to be a force on the defensive end. He's already shown all of the tools that a perfect modern NBA center would show. The perfect player to ruin opponents' game plans and to take the NBA into a new era. Well, every skill except for one, and that is the ability to pass, the ability to make plays for his teammates. But I expect we'll see that soon, because like I said, Joel Embiid is still getting used to the NBA. He's still learning what it means to be an NBA center. At Kansas, he began his career a shell of the player that he would become. He started out hesitant, full of promise, but not yet showing his full potential. But at the end of the year, he was already showing an advanced ability to find the open man and feed his teammates for easy baskets off of some absolute beautiful passes. I expect that as he gets more minutes and more reps, Joel Embiid will drastically improve his offensive awareness. And when that happens, we all better watch out. And so there you have it, guys. 3 reasons why Joel Embiid will break the NBA. I hope you enjoyed this video. I definitely liked making it. I definitely liked learning more about Joel Embiid. The man has gone through a ton just to get into the NBA, and he's honestly one of the funniest players I've ever seen. So I'm really rooting for him. I'm really hoping that he's going to unlock this potential and just become an absolute beast. And so with that said, we do have a what if coming soon. So I know you guys are going to be excited about that. I'm excited to make it. And if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you subscribe. Got a what if coming, like I just said. I do basketball history. I do basketball opinions like this. Basically, all year, this channel covers the NBA and brings you NBA stories that you probably haven't heard about. So if you love basketball, I think you'd love to subscribe, and I'd love to have you. And as always, guys, thank you for your support, and have an awesome day, and cue the music.